So I just kind of wonder sometimes, like I wonder, like, am I wrong for critiquing, or am I wrong for, like, wondering if people should, like, abandon this kind of idea of what faith has become, at least in the United States. And I think it's kind of worldwide, because the world is pretty
Yeah.
much consumeristic for the most part. But I do think that what you mentioned about it coming from privilege is kind of a real thing.
Yeah.
Just because I mean, the church will emulate the people that come. And most of America,
Yeah.
most of American church is like middle class and can buy products that are being given. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah. I heard I heard Richard Rohr say one time, whether it was in a podcast or a book or something. But he talked about the idea of Jesus said, "Follow me, not worship me." And I know that probably sends up a trigger, probably for some people who might have grown up in fundamental or conservative backgrounds. But I think it really highlights the idea that we want to put Jesus up on his nice little pedestal in our Sunday morning service. We want to, go to our conferences and read our books and listen to our music and stuff. But he said, "Follow me, do what I do." And I think the reality is, so many times we're so focused on this just cultural Christianity where it's actually comfortable. We give the illusion that it's not, and that it's actually really, you're standing up against the world and you're going against the grain. But most people who are in these cultures, they're not actually engaging with people who are not thinking like them. And so it's not really a, like, standing up against, maybe some people do have that. I'm sure they do have that experience of being in positions where they aren't, always the surrounded by other Christians, but there's just this tendency to just fictionize and mythicize this little perfect image of Jesus that we have, instead of doing what he did and loving our enemies and feeding the poor and welcoming the stranger. There's all these things that we don't want to do, because that's what's really uncomfortable for us, is to do these things that require something of us. We want to just go on Sunday, listen to our message, and have our nice little worship song and our coffee and whatever, put
Yeah.
on our trendy outfit.
And
So I
that's
think that's why I struggled with worship music, because it was so attached to that kind of lifestyle. But now I think the last couple of months, I really have been genuinely like, okay, I know where I am with my faith. I know, uh, you know, what I'm believing about God. And I actually do want to sing a worship song right now. I actually do want to just elevate my attention to something higher, to God, and just give him my affection, my praise, my adoration for a minute. And that is healing for me. And so I know it changes for people. I don't know, this is my perspective.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, I think what you mentioned is interesting about the Richard Rohr's quote is, and I'm sure some people didn't like that, but they'll be okay. You'll be okay. So basically the way I look at that is like, okay, well, how would you worship Jesus? Well, I would assume by following him and doing the thing. That is a practice of worship. And so, that's such an interesting thing. And then the other thing you mentioned, like, what is so vital about, like, when you actually follow Jesus, like, things get messy. Like you're drawn into situations that are really awkward. Like, if you just read the scriptures, like, and especially the gospels, and the things that Jesus finds himself in the midst of, I feel like the like most of us do not want to find ourselves in those situations, because it
Yeah.
requires us to be around very awkward things and
Uh-huh.
isolation and attention that most of us don't necessarily want. And the attention comes from being around people that are not, like, in our groups, that are not
Yep.
like us, that are usually like exiles and outcasts.